Hey everyone, welcome back to Minnesota Home and Garden. I'm sorry that we've been so busy and there's been a few updates, just a lot going on, a lot of canning, a lot of volunteering at the community gardens, and it's just a busy time of working in real estate as well. So it's coming to the point where you need to get going on harvesting some things and curing them. And one of those things that we have to cure now is onions. And it's always good to do that when it's been dry for a couple days, and we kind of just hit a sweet spot if it's been dry. So it's good to kind of let them harden off. How do you know when your onions are ready in Minnesota? Well, usually after they flap over and start to brown just like this, then it's time. It's time to bring them in. They're not going to get any bigger. You can, of course, harvest the tops as well. These dry very nicely if you want to just take the nice pieces and make yourself some onion powder. And this was the year of the onion. We've struggled growing onions every single year in the garden. We've done a lot of the bulbs you can get at a hardware store or a Menards or something like that. So we learned through a lot of just research and trial and error that the best way to do it is actually buy seed, and you want to start your seeds indoors in February and then transplant basically as soon as possible outside. I want to say we transplanted in April, and in Minnesota that's usually perfect timing. We did two varieties back here. We've got Baker Creek's, I think it's a yellow Spanish onion. We grew that one because it cures well, it has good storage, it grows well in Minnesota. In Minnesota, you're gonna want long day onions because we grow them in the summer when our days are long. We have long sun hours. We also did this purple variety as well. Those didn't germinate as well, so there's a much smaller amount over here. And we wanted to get softball sized onions that are excellent for curing and storage. That was our goal this year. We planted them early, and what we did differently to our soil is we did the compost as usual. But we also added more nitrogen in the beginning, so we added a little bit of blood meal. I didn't know how important having nitrogen in the beginning of the season was. It doesn't make sense for most root crops, but it's important to grow as much of the green tops as you can because that's the energy source to have a really big bulb. You also need to make sure you space them correctly as well. So let's get in here. Now, ideally, you don't let your weeds grow quite like this. In Minnesota, it's been so wet. We didn't really have much choice. I feel like the weeds have just repeatedly gotten out of control. We try to get ahead of it. So anyway, let's get harvesting that beauty. And so what we're going to do is we're going to just lightly clean off the dirt today, and we're going to let these just cure in a slightly warm, dry area. And as soon as they cure, kind of similar to the garlic, after about 2 weeks, they're ready for storage. And told, we actually have already harvested a couple just here and there as needed for just a recipe. We've been making a lot of pickles and dilly beans lately, so we always add onions to those. Look at that beauty. Okay, so how did the yellow Spanish work out? Check this out. These are probably the biggest onions we have ever grown. So Baker Creek's advice was correct. The Master Gardener University of Minnesota advice was correct to start these in February indoors, because look at that beauty, huge. Now, just for comparison, these were some extra bulbs I had from the hardware store. Look at the difference. They were planted at the exact same time. So planting by seed and transplanting outside makes a huge difference, and having the right soil. And you can still stay organic and have huge, excellent onions. And what is today? August 20th, I think is today. So August 23rd, sorry. So just to give you guys a time frame of when to start your seeds, transplant outside, and then harvest. Look at these. Wow. You'll see some of these didn't get as big, but these were probably planted a little too close together. They might have gotten a little bit larger if we would have given them a little bit more space, but these are still excellent onions. Okay, so I would say this is a huge difference. And although there's a couple small ones, we'll still enjoy them. They're still gonna be delicious and that's totally okay. We're likely gonna try drying some of the tops because I love onion powder and it's a great seasoning to have. If you can grow them, you might as well create your own seasoning, your own pantry, why not? And I think I would love to do some more updates with you guys soon, schedule permitting. But I think the next big thing we're probably gonna harvest is our regular potatoes. Those are in grow bags, but the plants on top haven't really died off yet. It's been a really wet year and I'm just hoping that means excellent potatoes. And we have 2 huge bags of paprika that are ready to be dried for our pantry. We're gonna smoke them this year. So I'd love to do a video about that. So if you've ever been curious about smoking your own paprika, you're gonna wanna use a cold smoking style. You're not gonna wanna do the hot because that'll kind of probably burn your peppers just a little bit and you don't want that. And then you're gonna dehydrate them and crush them to a powder. So those would probably be our next big things to harvest here. And probably the last but not least will be these beautiful sweet potato experiment that we have here. We've got a tomato that kind of went out of control here. That happens, especially this time of year, but we're pretty excited to see if the straw bales worked out for us this year. It hasn't been that hot. Straw bales, I think, produce more heat. This is probably a really hot spot as well. But yeah, we can't wait to show you more, and I'll just give you a tiny little video tour of the yard and what's going on. But nice to see everyone, and I can't wait to see you in the next few weeks.